Hello traders, welcome to today's video. We'll just get straight into it. Bitcoin a little bit sideways and down today, but still holding this very important 101 to 102k zone. That is what I did touch upon yesterday. This is the kind of line in the sand. We really don't want to break this, otherwise we are looking at a rotation all the way back down towards the lows, and then it brings in a high probability of even more downside. So let's see. Can Bitcoin hold this? If it does, then maybe we finally get to see this next leg up towards those higher targets, those 130Ks, and maybe even altcoins start to run with it, because they have been incredibly disappointing lately. But for now, Bitcoin just still, barely hanging on here. And yeah, we really do want to see this this zone hold as support. Another thing that's quite interesting, if you've been paying attention within this range, is we did have this POC that was at one stage up at 101.2. What am I doing here? I've got to do this, that. Turn on the developing POC. And of course, when we did get that point of control migrating back down towards where it is now at 106.8, we then saw price repelled away from that quite quickly and took out the lows. We have since, of course, reclaimed that. But if price does hang out around here for much longer, then we are going to see that POC shift back up, and that is when you could time a move either for that break towards the highs or another full rotation all the way back down towards the lows to come and test into some of these high volume nodes once again. So kind of interesting. That POC is something to be paying attention to over the next day or two if price does stay here any longer. It may have already shifted up on some purpose exchanges, but for me, the highest hit rate for this kind of thing is spot. It is on Coinbase. Whenever that point of control migrates and moves, we do see the price repels away from it. It happened in the previous range, and we have seen so far within this range that it did the same thing. If we go down onto the 4 hour, this 4 hour candle is looking pretty ugly right now, but it is just early days within London session. Asia wasn't really doing very much, so let's see if it can hold on. But once again, you can see this VWAP from the lows acting as support once, twice. We're testing it for a third time. It does not look particularly strong here, but it really does, in my opinion, we need to be holding this. Otherwise, yes, low 90Ks again very, very quickly, and altcoins getting even more wrecked than they have been already. And we know kind of the targets for where this is likely to go. If it does start to break down, it is likely to come all the way down here. So don't really want to see that. That's enough on the 4 hour. We go down to the 30-minute. And once again, we can see, yeah, just chopping around this VWAP. But the other thing that we did, and I did talk about this in the video yesterday, is we came into this MPOC that we have down at these lows. Now, as long as price is just moving around here within a range at that previous day POC, not previous day anymore, the Tuesday point of control, as long as price is just moving within this range, then that's okay. But we do want to see that market structure start to change. We are still in this downtrend. It doesn't really show any signs of slowing down. If you actually look at the way that this trend is going, it is accelerating. We are further away from that downtrending line, and we are accelerating towards the downside right now. So we do need to see a reaction that gets us back above the value area high at the very least of the day, back inside those previous day value areas, and then start to move up towards the targets that we have for any long positions here, which would be up there at 107.8, which is that Monday point of control. So as things stand, things don't look great. But the risk to reward is there for a trade that looks a little bit like this. If you're going for a long around that Tuesday POC, the lows of that day being around validation, the target being the MPOC that we have for the Monday, then it's relatively decent here. Okay, you can start to scale into a trade and see if you can get that sorted. The other option really is to wait for kind of reclaims of major levels, and then you can use today's low as any invalidation there. But yeah, I'm looking at this right now, and it's just looks weak, right? It looks very, very weak. The market in general looks very weak, altcoins in particular. So we'll see if there can be a bit of life that gets sparked into it. Tomorrow, Donald Trump is talking again, as he will be doing every day for the next 4 years. So will that do anything? Maybe. We have the Bank of Japan rates being announced tomorrow. So we know what happened to the market last time they did a rate hike, and there is a rate hike expected tomorrow. The last one was a shock, which is why the market had a bit of a shock. This time, I think the market's more or less priced that in. If you look at the JPY against USD, then it has been just a little bit crushed recently. Very, very kind of crushed recently. But anyway, that is some stuff that could happen tomorrow that could start to get a bit more like interesting price action here. But for now, yeah, continuing this compression. If we go much lower than this, then I think it starts to accelerate back down, and it's looking pretty ugly. So let's see. What I'm seeing right now does not look particularly good, but we will wait and see, of course. Some of the altcoins. So if Bitcoin does fall here and go a little bit lower, I'm in a long, by the way. I have taken a long with the invalidation at these lows. Very small size, just to get back into the trading again. If this does fail, then all of these halts are going to fail inevitably. But a couple that I do want to talk about. I got an itchy nose. AI16Z, AI16Z, holding what is, again, it had a really nice bounce rally after taking major lows. So I'll zoom out and show you. Oh my God, itchy nose. It took out these lows, had a decent bounce, and yeah, coming back into this golden pocket, 4-hour OB, and having retraced the entirety of the single prints that it made on the move up. So if this can hold again here, then we could be looking at a nice move higher that takes you back up towards the range highs again, because if this range low is held, then we can be expecting a move all the way back up here. So pretty decent risk to reward on that as a trade. At the very least, you'd be looking for these internal highs to go, and we do have that lining up quite nicely here with the golden pocket around about that $1.80. So if you're looking for longs around like 95 cents, targets around about $1.80, and that looks okay. Doge, another one. All right, I'm going to zoom out again to show you at the beginning, but we did have that big deviation below the lows of the range. We've come back into it. We're holding that VWAP, and once again, we have this 4-hour OB having filled in the entirety of the impulse up. And yeah, now seeing if this can hold again here. The other interesting thing on Doge, if I go down to the 30-minute, is that bounce off of the previous week open. We've got a really strong bounce into that range point of control. Now starting to consolidate here. If Bitcoin can hold, then maybe we do start to see that momentum with some of the altcoins again come back. It's also the range value area low down here, so we do have that confluence, which is reason to be taking the trade, which once again will be to take it from range lows all the way back up to range highs, because we're just trading within a range here. Pengu, the other one, I've taken profit on this. It's not been much of a movement. I've taken profit and I've moved my stop to the local lows. I did have my stop down here. I was expecting a bit more of a reaction. Nothing really very much has happened, but as we did get that bounce yesterday, the bounce is pretty nice. Okay, pretty nice bounce of like, I mean, you're looking at something that, I mean, it's almost like 20%, right, on spot. We took this as a leverage position, so it doesn't look like very much, but it was decent enough. Let's see if it can hold. The reason why I've moved my stop into towards these lows now is because, yeah, that wasn't a lot of movement. So now if price does come down here at this stage, it's just looking ugly, and that would result in a net loss. So because the TP was very small, made my stop very small as well, because not the highest confidence in the way that altcoins in particular are moving at this stage. So yeah, nothing too much more to update upon. Yeah, I think I'll wrap it up there. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.